Welcome to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support while you go through the divorce process. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Welcome back to Breaking Ties, the interview series. This is day 2 of our week-long series where we really talk with a professional who assists those getting through the divorce process, and we get a lot of great answers to many common questions that listeners have. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And with me today, again, is Margaret Zuleger. And for those who didn't tune in yesterday, Margaret is a collaborative divorce attorney with her own practice. How are you doing today, Margaret?
Great. How are you?
Not too bad. The sun's out for a change, so hey, you got to love it.
Nice.
Well, I know our listeners had some really good information yesterday, and if you didn't actually catch that episode, then you're going to want to go back and hear what Margaret had to say about the collaborative divorce process. And today we're going to continue that conversation that we started yesterday with Margaret. And we're going to start it off with, how long does a collaborative divorce typically take?
Well, of course, the answer depends on the couple, how complicated everything is, whether they have children, whether they have a complicated financial picture, whether there are other issues going on. But basically, it takes as long as it takes, but the more the parties can come to their agreements, the less time the attorneys need to take helping them come up with their agreements. So conflict is expensive, agreement is efficient. So it's really up to the parties. We just take them as they are and help them as efficiently as we can. We know it's an expensive process, so and another little thing we say is that and this holds true for regular litigation as well. The process moves as quickly as the slowest party involved. And it's pretty normal actually to have two parties like not on the same page. Usually one of the parties is a little more the instigator. Maybe they want it done as, yesterday. The other person is still a little shell-shocked. Like, I don't even want to be here. I'm hoping you change your mind. Don't push me. I need to take my time. This is all just upsetting. This is never what I imagined. And that's understandable. So the whole team, the whole collaborative team, including that person's partner, has to give that person time to catch up, get on the track, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they do have to engage. I mean, they can't just, just like in regular court, you can't delay it forever, but they're just different paces. So really depends on the couple.
Right, exactly. And you're right. So some people, they're ready to go, and other people really, they got to take some time to process and kind of figure things out. And actually, it's also, everybody moves at a different pace. Some people are just a little bit more methodical, and some people are just more spontaneous. So you're going to have those different viewpoints during, the process for whoever happens to, be going through it at that time.
Right.
Now, we talked a little about this yesterday with regards to a team aspect in collaborative divorce. So other than the attorney, what other professionals might we pull in if we need them? Or is there like professionals who are just standard part of the team usually all the time?
Well, I'd say a coach is a pretty standard part of the team, just at least to get them in place. They don't necessarily have to be there for every single meeting if everything is going well, but it's good to get them in place to help start the process, because at the beginning of the process, we do ask both parties to state what their goals are and their concerns. And so it helps to have the coach kind of help each party work up and get ready to express that in the first meeting. I mean, I do that too, but if I have a coach, I'm going to use him or her to really help prepare. And then we can also so that's the coach. And the coach also often handles all the parenting. So sometimes we have the couple meet with just the coach offline and work up the parenting plan. So again, you're not paying the attorneys to do that, although we will, if there's any issues, we'll jump in, but oftentimes the coach will kind of do the parenting thing and then bring the agreements back to the team. Then the attorneys turn that into the final document. The other professional is a financial neutral. So they help the parties, put together their budgets, their financial affidavits, gather all the documents. They put together the balance sheet. They present it to the team. They, based on what each party wants to see, they show like what one kind of division would look like versus another kind of division. They run the guideline child support and maintenance if applicable. They talk, they help everybody figure out like what income to use if there's any question about that. If it's, like a self-employed person versus just like, W-2 employees are easy. Income is income. Self-employed people, it's more complicated. And a financial neutral, from a neutral standpoint, can be the person that kind of figures out what is the income here, or at least present to the team, well, we could look at income this way, we could look at income that way. What do you, as the divorcing couple, what do you want to do? What can you agree on doing?
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, anytime you need something, you got it there from that standpoint. When it comes to collaborative divorce process, it sounds like you guys will pull in whoever you need to help the process along.
Right. Yeah, we don't always use a financial neutral. If the parties kind of know what they want to do and there's nothing other than like a couple of 401ks, bank accounts, and a house, we don't need a financial neutral. And everybody kind of understands, what a division might look like, what it might mean down the road. We don't need a financial neutral. So we're not trying to give more service than the couple needs. So it's really case by case what they want, what resources they want to use.
Right, exactly. Case by case, indeed. Now, I think we can probably agree that the litigation route is probably the most expensive a lot of times as far as costs go with the divorce process. How does the collaborative divorce process factor in when it comes to costs?
Well, I mean, a challenging collaborative case will certainly be less expensive than a terrible litigation case. That doesn't mean that either are going to be cheap, because time is money, right? Conflict is expensive. Do you need, 3-4 meetings, or do you need 20 meetings? Do you go back and forth on the documents 25 times, or do you pretty much sign the first draft after you've come up with your agreements? So it's less, but it's not like the least expensive. Probably the least expensive if the parties know what they're doing and one party is willing to be unrepresented by an attorney. And so there could just be one attorney, but that attorney can't represent both parties, but can represent one. The other person can be unrepresented. So collaborative isn't the cheapest, but it certainly is not it doesn't spiral the way litigation does, because again, you're not throwing your power to the judge to set briefing schedules and hearings and discovery and this and that. In the collaborative process, there may be challenges, but we don't waste any time in court. We just get to the resolution. We decide what we need. That information is provided. We make decisions about it. Done. Whether it's easy or hard, that's the process. We don't go to court for that, to have that resolved. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And just saving that court process alone, can actually save you money.
Oh yeah, there's so much wasted attorney time in litigation. Once you get in the system, you're pretty much there on a monthly basis. And sometimes it's just to say, well, Your Honor, we're working on things. The judge will say, okay, fine, see you next month. Great. But I'm charging for that because I have to do that. But does it really advance the case? No. Most of the time, people would rather pay me to be actually working on the case, like finding resolutions in a meeting, working, not just going to court, getting a date, telling my client, okay, well, the next date is X. But that's traditional litigation, because once you file, you're in the system, and then those court appearances start. In a collaborative case, you don't file anything until we're ready to finalize. We save all court appearances except for the final court appearance.
Right. And that can really, really, work out in the client's favor in that regard.
Absolutely. It's a better use of money to pay the attorneys to really work on resolution.
Definitely. Well, all right. Once again, fantastic information, Margaret, because this concludes day 2 of 5. And for those listeners who didn't catch yesterday's episode, you want to go back out there and listen. Every day has different questions, and Margaret provides a wealth of knowledge. So you're going to want to also join us tomorrow as we continue our discussion on the collaborative divorce process. Margaret and I would like to thank you for joining us again today on this episode of Breaking Ties interview series. Should you have any questions for Margaret, her information's in the description, so just reach out to her. She's happy to help. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow.